Now recognize the ranking member, the gentleman from California, Mr. Huffman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Herrgott, some of your testimony, frankly, has me perplexed and confused. You have said over the course of many years, and certainly even today several times, that you support an all-of-the-above energy approach. You said explicitly you want to see, for example, more offshore wind. You are aware, aren't you, that all federal permitting for offshore wind, for all offshore wind, categorically, is halted by order of the President of the United States right now? You're aware of that, right?
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
It's not my point. It's not my job to agree or disagree with a tax credit.
No, just yes or no. Do you agree?
I think that anybody that puts capital at risk, people need to get out of their way.
So you disagree with the President's categorical stop on all federal permitting for offshore wind?
That has nothing to do with the permitting process.
Sounds like you can say it. It's okay to say it.
Elections have consequences. When a Democrat wins and they stop oil and gas, I don't get in their way. When there's capital put at risk and the project moves forward.
Mr. Herrgott, I got a little bit more here, because I heard you kind of awkwardly defending Secretary Burgum's new secretarial order that all solar and wind projects now have an extra layer of red tape. You said, well, maybe it's good to have them go straight to the secretary, cut through all of these underlings, all of this nonsense. It's been bogging things down, complicating them. But I have the secretary's order right here. It doesn't clear any of that underbrush away, any of that regulatory underbrush. It just adds more layers on top of all of it. A new special layer where they've got to go for subsequent review. They call it subsequent review to the Office of the Deputy Secretary, and then a new final review all the way to the big cheese, the Secretary of Interior. Can you truly believe that this is justified in the name of transparency and visibility and the other pretexts that you have offered? Do you truly believe that? That this is good for solar and wind?
If you allow me to answer the question, I can do it in 30 seconds. When you put out an executive order, much like the 250 executive orders that have this opaque guidance out to a GS-15 in the field who has no idea whether or not they're okay to make a decision, and then you don't follow it up with formative guidance, which this one is a 2-page memo that says, of the 69 decisions that are made that are relevant to a decision about a project that you already know that was tied to this executive order, it's elevated to the president or elevated to the S1. Elevation within these decisions was going to have to happen anyway. The BLM state director in Nevada or Arizona was not going to make a call, so it called out a spade what a spade was. In fact, putting your money where your mouth is and saying that it comes up to you after to reconcile with an executive order.
Sounds like you believe this is necessary for transparency and accountability and the other things that have been offered.
I have one person to blame, not 50 that I don't see.
I hear you. And so if this is so good for visibility and transparency, it sounds like you've offered kind of a good government explanation for these new layers of bureaucracy on wind and solar. Would you support that for oil and gas projects?
Absolutely. If the Department of Interior got the ability and Burgum could make a single decision and it was not spread across.
No, all of the underbrush is still there. All of the red tape is still there. You've just got 2 new layers on top of it. You think that's a good idea for oil and gas projects too?
There's not. A record of decision is signed by a line officer out in the field. The Secretary of Burgum at this point could authorize or deny a project at his will. That is the same sort of authority.
Reclaiming my time. Mr. Herrgott, you got a credibility problem. You're making a mockery of this notion that we need to streamline the regulatory permitting process. There is a big governmental thumb on the scale for oil and gas and an absolute war on clean energy, and everyone knows it. Unlike you, the folks in this administration will say the quiet part out loud. They want to kill wind and solar and offshore wind specifically. Mr. Mergen, you've been in this line of work for much of your career. Can you think of any good reason for all of this regulatory morass for solar and wind while having a big governmental thumb on the scale for fossil fuel, including mandatory coal project approvals?
I cannot. And, you know, I worked in the federal government for 30 plus years. And during that time, I worked with state directors in Wyoming, in Utah, and Nevada. And they are capable of making these decisions in a streamlined and efficient way, whether that's for fossil or for renewable. But it makes no sense to discriminate against this industry based on the testimony we've heard from Mr. Campbell today.
And Mr. Mergen, you've talked about how technology can improve permitting efficiency. We have a new tool at the Fish and Wildlife Service. It's called IPAC, this one-stop console that lets you more quickly navigate the regulatory process. But there's a little warning that pops up if you try to use it in your wind and solar project. You're not eligible. Can you think of any good reason why the efficiency of this tool is available for fossil fuel projects, but not clean energy?
I think it's the very definition of arbitrary and capricious. It makes no sense.
Thank you. I yield back.